Hello and welcome to episode 11 of Vessel and Voice Podcast. I'm your human counterpart host, Kim Charlson. And in this episode, we're talking all about how to care for your vessel, both your physical vessel as well as your non physical vessel. And we'll be hearing from Monty about the balance between both of these in today's episode. Let's get into it. Before we get into the really juicy details of this episode, I wanted to invite you to come join Monty and I in the Awakened Authenticity community, where Monty shares a weekly message to set the tone energetically for every week, as well as you get access to all of our private channeling sessions that we do just for the community, divided up into a directory by topics, and be able to really start to integrate more through the weekly messages as Monty gives really specific exercises and tasks to do every week for you to start working with your soul energy and living more in alignment. So we hope that you join us in there for just $15 a month. If you decide to join at the mastery level of $45 a month, you also get access to group meditations once a month and group live channeling sessions where you can submit your own questions to get answers from Monty. So we hope to see you there. Before we get into today's topic, I want to make sure that you know I'm going to be talking about some medical trauma, just obliquely, that I went through. So if that is a topic that is difficult for you, please be aware that we do talk about the physical vessel and chronic illnesses in today's episode. Before we get to Monty, I wanted to clarify a couple of points that he talks about first. Your physical manifestation, your physical vessel is your body. It is the physical form that your soul has chosen to be in this particular lifetime. And it has its beginning in your birth and its end in your death. So it has a very limited amount of time that it exists for. However, you also have your non-physical vessel. So that is your energy, and it's incorporated into your physical vessel through your energetic centers. Monty calls the envelope, the energetic envelope, is his term for your entire energetic being and how it's involved with the physical, that combined together of the connection between all the energetic centers and where they reside in your body and the energy that surrounds you in your physical form that goes out and extends and basically makes up what we would term your aura. That's your non-physical vessel. So before you get into Monty's answers, I wanted to clarify that first about the differences between the physical and non-physical vessel so you have a little bit more context for his wisdom that he's sharing with us today. And before we get to what Monty has to share, I wanted to talk a little bit about my own experiences because some of the things that Monty says can be difficult, especially if you're someone whose physical vessel is not where you want it to be. And what I mean by that is, for me, I have a chronic illness that was caused by an antibiotic. And I 100% believe in modern medicine. And this is not me saying that I think that antibiotics are not useful. I absolutely do. Unfortunately, I took an antibiotic called ciprofloxacin, and it caused a really severe adverse reaction. I lost the ability to walk for a few weeks, and it took about 3.5 years before I started to be able to do really normal things again. And as part of that, I was really frustrated with the way things were for me, of that a single pill that I took within 15 minutes made it so I couldn't even move my hands and felt like my body was on fire because it really attacked my central nervous system. And I advise everybody, as you're listening, always check to make sure that the medications that you have that you're taking don't have a black box warning, and you've talked about the risks with your doctors, because that was something that I could have avoided. At the moment where I was taking that pill, I thought to myself, hey, I feel really uncomfortable taking this. And I asked and looked stuff up on the internet and was told basically, yeah, it's not really an issue. You're young. That doesn't happen. It mostly happens to people over the age of 65. It's really rare. But there was just a knowing inside of me that it was something that was really not good for me to take. And in fact, in the moment where I took that pill, I turned to my husband and I said, here goes nothing, as I took it, because internally I knew that it was not right for me. And it was such a frustrating process of that you can make such a simple, small choice like that of taking one small medication that society tells us is great, that the doctors were supportive of, that can cause so much harm to you. And one of the hardest parts for me of working in energy and getting to know the non physical realm has been this really big discrepancy between the limitations that we experience in physical form and the lack of limitations that are in non physical form, and how to reconcile the two of those, because they really do affect each other. That I found that as I did more energy work and as I did more energy healing, that helped my body heal, but it didn't fix everything. And even now, I'm going to deal with a lot of the effects of that medication for the rest of my life. And I can't go back. I can't change what happened. And it's just something that I have to deal with. And if you too suffer from a chronic illness, or your body has just gotten to a point where it's just not where you want it to be, it can be super frustrating, because you're like, well, we have all these tools in the non physical to create so much change, and yet there are limitations in the physical. So today's episode, Monty talks about these limitations, how the physical and non physical interact with each other, and answers some basic questions about that. There are obviously a lot more questions about how health is affected by energy and the non physical that could be done in future episodes. So if you have questions that come up, please go ahead and send those to hello@kimcharlson.com. And we would be more than happy to include those in a future episode, because this is a topic that is really hard for us to deal with in physical manifestation and in our lives, especially as we get older and our bodies start to decline. And we have that consciousness that feels so young and so vibrant, and yet sometimes that just does not correspond to how we're feeling physically. So as Monty shares in this episode, there's a lot of things that we can do to really take care of our physical vessel as well as our non-physical vessels, and just the basics of that. So I'll let Monty take it away from here. This week's episode is all about caring for your vessel and understanding what your vessel truly is. Your vessel, your physical manifestation, as we will call it, is the physical embodiment of the energy of your soul as it chooses to be in this particular lifetime, in these particular conditions. It is important to understand that your soul has chosen specific aspects of your physical manifestation to best align with its desires for spiritual growth. It is not a physical manifestation that is without an intention of creating conditions that allow your soul to experience specific challenges, or specific things that allow your soul to experience specific manifestations of specific energies. We have used the word specific abundantly here to help you understand that there is a intention, a specificity behind why you are in your physical vessel. Now, it is important for you to begin to work with your vessel rather than seeing it as an obstacle for your soul growth, because your vessel is here specifically, again, specifically to allow you to expand and experience certain energies within your domain. Now, what we mean by this is that your soul has chosen, before it came into reincarnation in this particular lifetime, that there were certain energies, not lessons, but energies that it wished to experience in certain formats in physical manifestation. As we have discussed about before, different energies can come into physical manifestation in different formats. The same energy can be embodied in different ways, in different formats. But as your soul has chosen this particular lifetime, there were certain energies that it set the intention to experience in certain manifestation types, in certain formats, because it knew that experiencing these energies in these particular ways of being would allow it to experience that manifestation and that energy in a particular way that allowed for soul growth. Now, in collaboration with these energies, your physical vessel is changing and evolving throughout your lifetime. It is important to understand that your physical vessel is not stagnant. It changes while your soul remains the same. Your soul energy does evolve, but it is over a much broader timeline, as we have talked about in previous episodes. And it is important to understand that your body, your physical vessel, is changing much more rapidly than your soul's progress in one particular incarnation. This is why, as you age, as you change in your body, it feels at times as though it may be shocking or unfamiliar, while your soul is created in such a way that it changes in minute fashion. There can be many changes within your awareness, but your pure essence is often the same throughout your life. It very rarely changes in your pure essence from when you are a baby all the way until your death. Your essence is symmetrical in terms of how it evolves within your lifetime. While there may be changes, is it a reflection of how it was earlier? It is not that different as you are moving forward. Now, how can you care for your vessel when it is changing at a much faster rate than the energy with which you interface with it? It is important to understand that your vessel processes energy in a much different way than your soul does. Your soul takes in energy and uses it by transmuting it and creating something different with it. What we mean by this, for example, is you take in the energy of love from those that you collaborate with in physical manifestation, that share affection with you, and you take that love and it allows you to do different things with that energy. It can be that you use that love to do certain actions within physical manifestation, or it allows you to be brave enough to do things in your life that would be unrelated to love, unrelated to the relationships that you have. But the support of the love allows you then to take that energy and transmute it into something quite different. That is how your soul takes in energy. And it may be that your soul is working through these energies and taking them in to create things in physical manifestation. For example, if you are well loved by your family and well regarded by your community, it may be that you then are in a position where you can create a career for you that creates many physical manifestations that you experience throughout your lifetime. And in part, the energy that you are transmuting is the energy of the love and support and well regard that you're taking in from those that are close to you. This is how your soul and your energetic envelope of your vessel, from an energetic standpoint, not a physical standpoint, processes energy. There is the counterpart of a mirrored reflection in how your human body, your physical vessel, takes in energy. It is slightly different. Non-physical energies are always processed by your soul, by your pure essence, and transmuted throughout the energetic process. Your physical vessel, however, takes in physical manifestations of energy, not in its pure essence, but in a specific format, and then uses that energy in a different way. For example, as you exercise and you are taking in the energy of doing exercise, you are doing that with your physical vessel. You are creating a condition that allows your physical vessel to take in that physical energy of challenge, to allow it to transform in physicality its physical format. This is the same for when you take in different energies in specific forms, such as food. When your body takes in food, it processes it and then does things in physical format only. Now, when your body takes in things from a physical format, some of the pure essence of the energy is also taken in by your soul. This is why it is important for you to have healthy habits. What we mean by healthy habits is doing the things that human society has indicated are healthful to you in a most simplistic way. Exercise, eating a well-rounded diet, having a community, and an ability to get out of doors. All of these things are very simplistic, that need not be complex. But as your physical vessel takes in more of these different physical specific energies and interacts with these specific energies in physical manifestation, those energies allow your body to have specific processes of how your body works and how your body processes energy to use it in physical manifestation. However, because it is also non-physical energy, some of that energy, a very small portion of it, interacts with your soul essence. There is some crossover. In the same way, there is crossover from the non-physical energies that you take in to your physical manifestation. It is not as direct and not as pronounced as the energies that you take in the physical format into your physical vessel and the non-physical format into your non-physical vessel. However, they do have a mirrored relationship one to the other. So, if you are someone who is taking in physical energies that are unhelpful, such as drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, things that humanity has noted have a negative physical effect on the human body. Very simplistic. You need not be overly concerned, but just the basics that humanity has known for a very long time are not good for the human vessel. If you engage in those energies, your physical manifestation has difficulty accurately processing those physical energies, and it causes within your physical manifestation energy of chaos. Energy of chaos, as we have talked about before, is energy that is quickly moving from one place to another without regard to any specific systemizations or any specific patterning. What we mean by this, for example, if you take in the energy through physical manifestation of smoking cigarettes, and you do it over a long period of time, you are taking in this energy of the cigarette into your physical form. Your physical form has difficulty processing this energy because it is out of alignment with your physical format. As such, this causes the energy of chaos within your body, which causes your body to create things out of alignment within your physical vessel, which results in things such as ill health or even cancer. It is important to understand that what it truly is that you are taking in energies that are out of alignment with your physical vessel in its physical format. This is also why some individuals are much more deeply affected by certain energies that have a negative effect on their physical vessel more than other individuals. The more that you are affected, the more it is out of alignment with where your soul growth is at that time in that particular reincarnation. Now, when it comes to taking in these substances that are physical energies that are out of alignment with your physical vessel, it does mirror to a certain extent and create those same energies within your soul envelope, within your non-physical vessel that holds your energy within. The more that you imbibe in out of alignment energies in physical manifestation, the more that your soul will also replicate the energies of chaos. What this means is that your soul energy becomes more out of alignment over time, and it is more difficult to retain your soul energy accurately within your non-physical envelope. This is why certain individuals who are very unhealthy, not because of the system that they are in, but because of choices that they are making, may often find that they have a more difficult time connecting with non-physical energies, such as their soul, their spirit guides, or other spirit beings. The same can be said that if you are taking in non-physical energies that are out of alignment with who you truly are, for example, if you are taking in the energy of guilt and shame, which is out of alignment with who you are that can create a crossover effect of the same mirroring within your physical vessel. They interact with each other, but it is more pronounced than a single occasion, and this is what we want you to take away. It is habits over time that cause the crossover effect between the physical to non-physical and non-physical to physical, where they will affect one another. There can be massive amounts of energy, such as in a traumatic event or a medical physical episode, that can create the crossover because it is the volume of energy. But for most individuals, it is rather the habit which increases the volume of energy that you are taking in over time. So, for example, occasionally imbibing in alcohol, while that is an energy that causes the energy of chaos within your physical vessel, as we are sure that you can feel, it over time of a habit of excessive consumption can create soul disalignment issues in the non-physical vessel. Obviously, there are those individuals that we have spoken about that are more deeply affected and will have a lower threshold of the amount of energy that is required for the chaos to cross from the physical to the non-physical. That barrier between the physical and non-physical, of the permeability between the two, is of an individual caliber, an individual calibration that changes depending on the individual. Now, if you are someone who wishes to be acting more in alignment with your soul and have more of your soul energy and more of your essence and authenticity involved in your life, involved in your physical being, you will actively reduce that barrier of that calibration of the interaction between the non-physical and physical energies. It is a calling of then that you must be more mindful of your habits and the energies that you are taking in a physical manner and how they are affecting your non-physical vessel. However, those who are actively and intentionally living out of alignment with their souls and who are more focused on their physical vessel than their non-physical vessel tend to have a higher barrier, a higher amount of energy before the transference occurs. This is why certain individuals can be involved in very difficult, very harmful situations, and yet it affects their soul much less than some who are further along in their spiritual path. This is why certain individuals will experience significant trouble, significant challenge versus others who do not. Now, we are not saying that this is a judgment that you should be passing on other individuals of their capacity for energy, but rather understanding that you yourself are where you are right now, and you yourself were where they were at one time and may be again. Evolution of your soul and your soul growth is not a linear pattern. What we mean by this is that there are times where that non-physical barrier of energy between the transference of physical and non-physical will change over time. In certain lifetimes, it will be more difficult for the energy to transfer. And then in other lifetimes, it will be easier. And then you may find in another lifetime next, it is more difficult again. It is something that fluctuates throughout your different incarnations. Now, it is important to understand the key habits that you need to comply with, regardless of how that barrier is functioning for you, if you wish to be living more in alignment, because the more in alignment that you are living, the more that that barrier begins to break down and that you can use pure energy essence to create things in physical manifestation, as well as taking in things from physical manifestation to allow you to create things in the non-physical world. The more that you have this co-creative relationship between the physical and non-physical, the more effective you are at working with energy to create the life that you choose. The habits that are most important are the simple things that we have spoken about. It can be that your body needs exercise and movement, healthy foods, drinking water, allowing yourself to relax and be at ease. These are the things that allow your body to process the energy much more easily than if you were overtaxing the system
with energies that are out of alignment. A simple way for you to test whether or not something is in alignment for you is to actually use your physical vessel as a means of testing. Your physical vessel knows what it needs, but you must learn to tune into it and to trust it. Kimberly will speak more at large about using this system in the rest of the podcast in our conclusion, because she is accustomed to working with the physical vessel in a way that we are not. In addition to caring for your physical vessel, it is important to also contemplate the energies that you are taking in from a non-physical format as they are showing up in your physical manifestation. They, too, are represented by physical manifestations, but have a much stronger non-physical presence. So it is important to understand that when you are interacting with others, when you are interacting with energies, all of these things are coming into your non-physical vessel and are creating changes in how you are taking that energy in. It is important for you to understand that this is a two-way street. The more that you can prioritize taking care of your physical vessel, the more easily you will be able to work with your energy and your soul. The more that you are mindful of the energies that your soul is working with in the non-physical realms, the easier it will be for you to care for your physical vessel. Now, we wish to comment about people whose physical vessels may find difficulty. This is an important topic to discuss because not every physical vessel from the beginning has the best advantage in terms of being the most in alignment at any given moment. What this can mean are things like chronic illnesses or medical events that cause the physical vessel to change in a negative manner that makes it very difficult to exist in physical manifestation. It is important to understand that your soul, in part of its choices, has decided to experience different challenges. It can be, and not always, but it can be that your soul has decided to experience limitation in a physical format, so that way it prioritizes non-physical energy formats. It is a balance of the two. So typically, when someone is experiencing a chronic illness or malady of some kind that is long-standing, the prioritization is of the non-physical energies. The same can be said otherwise as well. When someone is more prioritizing the physical manifestation, it can be more difficult to work with the non-physical energies, as we have said. It is important to understand that this is a balance. And if you feel that your scales are very out of balance, the more that you can work in the non-physical, the more that your physical body will be able to more accurately process energies because of that mirroring effect. It is not a cure by any means, but it can alleviate some of the symptoms or some of the challenges that you are experiencing, even if it is only in the non-physical aspects of your consciousness. We hope that that gives you some hope in the ability to understand this balance, of that you can recalibrate this balance by focusing on different aspects of your physical versus non-physical manifestation. It is also important to understand that there can be very strong events in the physical or non-physical that affect the other. And it can be that you find that you are having difficulties in the physical because of an overabundance of non-physical energies that need to be cleared away. The same can be said of if you are experiencing issues in the non-physical, it can be from physical sources as well. They are in collaboration with each other, a mirror to each other, but also a balance of one versus the other. It is more complex than just one represents the other. We hope that this has given you some more information and thought processes behind how you can begin to care for your vessel from a physical and non-physical standpoint. We send you great love. That is all.
I learned a couple new things in today's episode, and I hope that this helped you kind of understand a little bit better about how we can take care of our vessels. And that's a big part of my work, to be honest, of being the vessel for the messages that come through, also means that I need to take care of my vessel, both from the physical side of really making sure that I am thinking about the energies that I'm taking in from physical means, as well as the energies that I'm taking in from non physical means, to make sure that my vessel is in really good condition. So that way I can channel much more clearly. So, for me, what that has looked like over the last couple of years is really working with my body to figure out what it suits it best. Going through the process of healing from the antibiotic that I took, I had to really learn that my body was much more sensitive than it used to be, but that there were certain things that I needed to be cognizant of how my body was taking in physical formats of energy. For example, after I had that episode, I really wanted to be able to live a really normal standard American life afterwards. For me, what that meant was going out with my friends and having a couple drinks, eating regular food at a restaurant, and not having to really be conscious of that. Of most Americans are not really conscious of the food that they're eating at a restaurant and the energy that's part of that food. The issue was my body really can't do that anymore. And it's very sensitive to what I eat and what I put in my body. So while I tried to be able to drink alcohol and be able to enjoy that, what I really had to get cognizant of is that while my body can't take in the energy of alcohol in that format anymore, and that it is just simply not compatible with me and causes a lot of problems, I still can take in the non physical energies of community, of the things that occur energetically while we are consuming alcohol with friends or with family. It was important to really identify that although I couldn't engage with certain behaviors physically anymore and had to change my behaviors in terms of how I was caring for my physical vessel, I could still get a lot of those things through non physical means by engaging in the world in a different way and focusing my consciousness on the aspects of the energy I actually really wanted to have. So it was a big transition and it was a lot of grieving, to be honest, about losing those things in physical manifestation. But now I've come to the point where I've realized the non physical formats of those are so much more profound and deep and enjoyable for me, even though I can no longer partake in certain practices that are part of living in human society. And it also helped me understand to work with my body a lot more. So, as Monty talked about during his message today, he wants me to teach you how to use your physical body to work with it to understand it a little bit better about what energies it needs. There is something called muscle testing that, in my understanding from what Monty and my spirit team has shared with me, is actually your body and not your non physical vessel that is responding to those questions. This is a practice a lot of energetic practitioners use to figure out energy problems and to diagnose energy issues. But what Monty has shared with me in my own analysis and own questioning about this is that it's really your physical vessel and your body that's responding rather than your non physical vessel because you're using your physical vessel. So, a practice that you can do when you're trying to figure out what's going to work best for your body, and it could be as simple as you're picking out some new skincare and you want to find a new lotion to use, or it could be something more as you're finding a new training program of whether or not you're going to do this weightlifting program or that weightlifting program, or you're going to eat this food or that food, of just giving that access to your body to make those choices can be a really good way to work with it. So, what you'll do is hold the object or the concept or something that represents it and hold onto it with your body and just close your eyes and take a deep breath and center into how your body feels in that moment. Then just allow your body to be able to move on its own, whichever way is good for you. Now, I will say, when I was at my worst and was unable to hold up my own body weight, this is not something that I could do myself. So, this is something that may not be accessible to you, and you can adapt it however you need. So, for me, I would put my hands on my legs instead. And I would ask my body to respond by just raising one finger for yes and the other finger for no, because I couldn't allow my body to sway. Most people find that allowing their body to sway is a bit more effective. But if that's inaccessible to you, you can adapt it and make it meet your own needs, however that may be. What you want to do first is calibrate your system. What I like to do is just ask a yes or no question just to make sure that my body's ready to answer questions. So the first thing that I do is I ask, is my name Kim? And To be calibrated correctly, my body should be responding yes. And I just wait until I can feel either that urge that my finger is going to lift or that my body is going to sway forward if I'm doing a full body test while I'm standing. Then I'll say something like, I'm 87 years old, and then wait for the response of no, or that my body sways backwards. You do have to release a certain amount of control and let your body respond. So you have to set that thinking mind aside and really allow your body to get involved in this way. So it may take some practice before you can really rely on this. But by doing that calibration, you know, okay, I am connected with my body in such a way that I'm allowing it to respond, and my thinking mind is not getting in the way. After you've done that, then you want to ask a series of questions using, again, the yes and no, always formatting for yes and no questions of, is this in alignment for my body? So you can ask questions like, is this for my highest good physically? Is this going to help me achieve my physical manifestation goals? Is this going to be what you need? You can format the questions in any way that you want, but you want to be clear in what you're asking and make sure that you're keeping in mind that you're asking your body rather than your energetic envelope and allowing your body to speak and share its own opinion. So that's a really great way that you can start working with your body and your physical vessel to help identify different ways that you can get it what it needs and not allow your thinking mind to kind of get in the way. I hope this episode was helpful in explaining some of the differences between physical and non-physical vessels and how they interact with each other. And if you have any questions, please send them to us at hello@kimcharlson.com. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.